This is a CBS News Special Report. I'm Charlie Rose with Norah and Gayle King in New York. Anthony Mason is with us. Trading is about to open on Wall Street. We expect dramatic losses at the opening bell as investors react to the election of Donald Trump as the next president of the United States.
The markets expect uncertainty in the weeks and months ahead. Jeff Glor is on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange this morning. Jeff, good morning. What's the mood like there?
Well, and they've been certainly dealing with that anxiety and that uncertainty all night long. U.S. markets did level off a bit overnight after a big swing down in futures. At one point, the Dow futures were pointing to an open down 800 points. When the result of the election became clear, trading was actually halted briefly, but then resumed and the numbers stabilized. Here we go on the open. As we wait to see where these numbers go, talking to these traders down here this morning, you know, it's been very interesting. They're aware of what Donald Trump has said about, you know, ripping up some of these trade deals, revamping the tax code a lot more. They say they just don't have specifics on it. So there is concern. They're expecting a very active day. I haven't heard anyone call it a panic day at this point, as the Dow opens down 30.
And there we see Jeff.
And maybe even in positive territory here.
All right, Jeff Glor, who is on the floor there. Anthony, what's at play here? The futures were down. On the flip side, we're going to have one party in control.
Yeah, the market's been nervous for a couple of weeks. I mean, we had, before the rally at the beginning of the week, we had 9 consecutive days where the S&P was down. Its worst losing streak since 1980, in fact. And a lot of that was because the polls were tightening and the uncertainty was widening. It's going to be interesting to see what happens here. As Jeff mentioned, overnight, the futures were down at 800 at one point, but they dialed back when they saw Donald Trump's conciliatory acceptance speech, and that seems to have changed the mood. Now we're watching this particularly because there's concern that there might be kind of a Brexit reaction here. And if you recall, after the Brexit vote in Britain, the markets lost 900 points. The Dow lost 900 points in 2 days. So I think that's what everybody's been watching for.
I mean, there are several factors you would seem, and I'm asking a question here. There is uncertainty, and that's always a question for the markets. But at the same time, Trump has promised policy lowering the corporate tax rate, lowering regulation, and things that business likes.
Well, and he is a businessman, so you would have thought going into this the markets would have been excited at the prospect. But the fact is, Hillary Clinton represented what they thought was the status quo, and Donald Trump represented who knows what. And I think there's a lot of question about what's going to be coming in a Trump administration, and that's where the anxiety came from. And last night when As it started to look like Trump might win, you saw the futures just
and there's always the uncertain geopolitical events too.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that might happen out of this is a lot of people were expecting a Fed rate hike in December, barring confusion in the markets. If there is confusion in the markets, you might not see that now.
All right, Anthony, thank you. And our coverage will continue throughout the day on our 24-hour streaming network. That's CBSN. And there will be a complete wrap-up tonight on a special hour-long CBS Evening News with Scott Pelley.
Many of you will return now to CBS This Morning. This has been a CBS News Special Report. I'm Charlie Rose with Gayle King and Norah, CBS News, New York.
For news 24 hours a day, go to cbsnews.com.